Hello everyone. So welcome to our second video regarding Karate API testing framework. So in the first video we just set up our base framework, right? Structure using the Karate archetype. And now from now on we can get more examples. We can get more detailed in terms of how to use this framework to perform our testing operations, right? So we're gonna do in this second part of the video we're gonna do some examination, like checking the structure for the feature files and how it works, and we're gonna also look at some keywords that is specific to this Karate framework. So if you check the Karate GitHub main page, it says Karate DSL, right? What that DSL stands for? It is domain specific language. So that means that has a specific syntax that we can use, that we can get benefit of, that using the feature files and while performing our API testing, right? So if you realize one thing in these features, in this feature file, let me make it a little bit bigger. So I made some tag numbers for them, right? I assigned some tag even for scenarios and feature files too. Featured there's F1, that means like feature one we can think of, or we can come up with any name, and also we can give any tag name for each scenario, right? So the reason for this, we may want to run some test suite, right? Smoke test, let's say, and in that case you can just give a tag name called like smoke. So, and we have a runner class too, right? So once you go to your runner class, you can specify the tag name as smoke, so that it's gonna go only run the feature files and the scenarios that has a smoke tag. So that's the benefit of that. We can use it. And if we want to run specific scenarios, not every scenario in a feature file, in a given feature file, we can also give tag names for scenarios as well, like this. So we're gonna do examples. We're gonna run these scenarios from our runner class to see how it works, the tag level, how the tagging works in Karate framework, which is really cool, I think. So, but before we go there, let me do more examples, and let me go to the details of the keywords and the scenario structure, the feature structure, right? So as first thing, we need to define our URL, right? It can be defined like hard-coded way like this, or it can be also defined. Let me run this first, this scenario first. This is an open API, right? We can just publicly access this API. So we are using that API as our endpoint that has some operations set up already, get operations, right? And we can check the website also if there is another operation too that we can perform. So it is running the feature, the first scenario in that feature file. For some reason it is taking a longer time. Yeah, it passed the test, right? So if you look at this, there is scenario, number of scenarios 1 and the past one. It take a while, but maybe the network is slow at the moment. So this URL, right? We don't want to hard code it, right? It may change. I mean, if in your real world projects, you're going to be working some environments, right? Like dev environment, QA environment, UAT, and prod. There might be different environments for the different purposes, right? In that case, what we can do, we can simply go to this Karate config file, and we can define our URL in here. Right, like this. Of course, we need to put this comma if there are more than, let me make it bigger here. So I can define my URL. It's like a global, defining a global variable. It's like a properties file, right? We are putting our endpoints here so that it could be accessible from our feature files. We don't need to hard code them anymore in the feature files. So what I'm gonna do, but instead of using the URL, it's so generic, right? Let's make it something unique. So let's say first URL, let's say, and this is my variable name. Now I can call it from the feature file. I don't need to hard code it now. So this is basically, let me tell you how it works, right? As first thing. So this is background. From each scenario, before each scenario, this background will be run, right? And even this background, before this background from the feature files, once you run a specific scenario, even before the background is run, this Karate framework will go to Karate config and look at the configuration here, even before reading and getting into the background. Then it's gonna get all the variables here in the Karate config, right? Whatever endpoints and settings here, it's gonna take them first. It's like a before class, right? Or before suite annotation you can think of from test engine, right? And then it's gonna get those values, and now so it's gonna see like first URL. Oh, what was the first URL? I remember that from the config file. That you mean like this endpoint, right? You mean it's gonna think. So that's how it works. And when it comes to scenario, so it says get all users and then get the first user by ID. So there are two operations in this scenario. We can even separate this into two scenarios, right? Because we are making a first call here using get, and there is another get call. So basically we are making two calls for the same endpoint. But is it really the same endpoint? So the first keyword I would say is response, right? This response keyword, as soon as we use the method get, post, delete, or update, or whatever you are using, right? There is gonna be an equivalent response for that method. So as soon as you use this method or any other method you can use, there will be a response for that call, and it will be stored in the response keyword in this framework. So let me comment them first. If we understand, oh, I'm sorry. What was it? Comment. Yeah, there we go. If you understand how it works, then we can easily adapt even more complex, more advanced examples, right? So print response. Print is another keyword. It's like system print out, right? For the Java, from the Java, let's say. So we can just print using the keyword print. We can print anything we want. So this response, I didn't define this response keyword before, right? I didn't create this variable before, response keyword, because it is created for us already. This is another keyword. So whatever this response is for this get method, it will be saved in the response keyword, and we can print it. So let me run this. All right, now we got the results, and there are like, it's a JSON array, right? You can see that it's a JSON array and multiple objects, multiple JSON objects in that. And what I can do, you know this JSON, right? There is JSON path. We can parse through the JSON objects, and we can get the child elements or the following elements or parent elements. We can parse the JSON, right? And there is inline solution for that in this framework. You don't need to use any third-party library or any other language. Let's say you saw the response, right? Let me run it again. So let's say we want to get the second object, JSON object, in the response array. So if you look at the output, you can see that. Let me see. Let me actually copy this for you. I'll just show you something. If you see that there are like multiple JSON objects that has the same structure. So let me, okay, that's fine. I'll just show you something. So let's say JSON Pathfinder. So if I paste my example here, and if I remove this one and put it here. Okay, let me remove this one too. It should work now. There you go. So this is our response, right? And on the right hand side we can see like there are 9 elements, 9 objects that has the same structure. So website address, it's another this is a JSON object also in the first response, right? And the same way, like third and fourth element. So let's say I want to get the second element, meaning that the first index number I need to use, right? And I want to print that, let's say. So I can do that. Let's go here. So since, and the good thing with this, I can also implement like string also here. So let's say second JSON object in response. And you can either use comma or you can use plus sign to connect to put them together, I mean. And you can say now response, since this is a JSON array, I need to use this curly, not the curly bracket, right? It's this tile brackets I need to use this time. And if I want to get the second JSON object in that response array, I need to use the index number 1 because it's going to be starting from 0. Let me run this now and don't run this anymore. So now it's not going to print all the JSON responses. It's going to print only the second one. Look at this. Second, I can make this bigger, right? There you go. Second JSON object in response is this one. Website and all the way down. We only printed the second one. That's the good thing. That's native support for JSON path and same for XML path as well. I can just even, I can get even like deeper, right? Using the JSON path inline from the feature files. So let's say we only want to get address object, let's say. So what is the JSON path for that? I need to use the field name, right? Let's say, let's compare this response now with the new one that I'm going to run. So it should print only this address object from the response. And I can change to also addressed object, let's say. Let me run this again. This is really cool. I mean, it would take a lot of effort in doing this action in other framework, right? Look at the response. I get addressed object, now only these fields, right? That's really cool, I mean. And there is the, what else we can cover? It's been like a long video already, but so let me stop here first. Then in the it's gonna be another section for more keyword, and we can also use these runner classes to see like how to run different tags, to have to see like how to run entire path or class path. Different examples we have here. I'm gonna go over them. Thank you guys.